Well, greetings everyone. I hope you're having a great and glorious day and things are going well for you today. Today I'm in pretty good spirits, except I'm hot and I'm working topless because thermostat, I like to set the thermostat back at night, let it go ahead and give the air conditioner a chance to cool down itself. And since I'm not outside in the sunlight, I don't have to worry about getting skin cancer on the top of my noggin here. So we're just going to do this without the hat. My hair looks old and gray. It's probably just these cheap cameras that I'm using. So today's problem is, how can I fix a problem? How can I research the problem on my own? Can I fix a problem? How can I research the problem on my own? Now, I used to be pretty good with computers and networks. When I was many decades younger, I used to run a network in a facility that had 4 different companies. And no, I didn't get paid for it. It's just they found out I could do a little bit and I was cheaper. They'd let the engineer they had play with it and see if they could fix it rather than calling somebody in, because response time was quicker. I was there all the time. And then the more I got into it, the less I got paid for it, because there is something less than zero, but you go downhill with time. And I used to be pretty good, but back in the days, this was back in NT and Windows 95 and 97 days. That's how far back it goes and how rusty I am, when I used to be cool and keep up with all that. Well, we had NT servers, or new technology servers, and they were very stable and they worked well. Well, the first place I would look at in not being able to connect resources or see resources would be in the work group. Now, NT had this thing called a work group, and the default name was work group, all capital letters. Now, you can separate who can see what resources by making a local network actually be routable. You can connect through the actual network behind the scenes, behind the router, but people will not be able to see them if we put them in a different work group. Like, we had 4 companies, so I could put Redgoat on one set of computers if we needed to, and they could only see their stuff because they weren't in the right work group. We could put them on USCO, EBCO, or one of the other general slicing. They could be another. We could group them all together. We could separate them out. So on a work group, if you want to be, I don't know, make yourself feel like you're less hackable, you could give a work group the name of your dog or your cat or an ex or whatever you might have. And it would have to match the names on a private network for them to be there. There's another level of connectivity that I talked about on the IP. You could subnet off certain computers from the rest of them, and they could still find their route out to the host and all that. Now, nothing like that is what I'm doing here. I'm just my own home. I have my own little work group, and I just want to be able to see a computer upstairs that runs, that works with a roaster, and it also shares out some printers, label printers, because downstairs I wanted to be able to, on the big computer, to be able to do my labels, produce the labels, and just print them off like they're sitting on the desk next to me right over here. And also I want to share data from the top down to the bottom, because this may be where consider bookkeeping or something like that. The computer is there used only for that machine, so I can track times and temperatures and to print with. Sometimes I would see it after I set up file and printer sharing, sometimes I wouldn't. Now, there are 2 clicks that you have in your network, and let's see if I can bring them up. So here we have a screen we'll talk about in just a minute, but I have control panel set up on as a pin to the taskbar, and we're going to come up and we would look for, if we're just trying to connect the computers, which is outside the scope of this video, we will hit network and sharing, and then I have my private network and I have my connection, so I can go into the adapter, I can go into the advanced sharing, and you'll notice I am currently private, which is necessary for file and printer sharing within the system. You can also have guest or public, and I do have turn on network discovery, so both computers were set up to give me the visibility of the other computers on the network. If I want to go to Microsoft, I want to tell them what the problem is, because this has been a common problem for years. But it's not necessarily a problem to not be able to browse your local network, because sometimes we might want people not to be able to browse the network. Like, there may be certain network, if you were doing an enterprise kind of management, you might want to have certain directories and things on the main server that are common tools that you can go to any computer on the network, any of the employees' workstations, and tap into that connection. And you can do that if the connection is there but not visible. You just have to give it the resource name. So there's reasons why they might not show up. In this case, as I just showed you, it was connected to do network browsing, or rather network visibility. So I knew I had a problem somewhere, and as I watched, sometimes I would see I'd be able to see my other computer from either station, and when one was broke, the other one was broke too, so it was always both ways. So it didn't seem to be something stuck on one computer, but I noticed a pattern that sometimes it would be there and other times it wouldn't be there, but the resources would still exist. I just couldn't browse that network. Now, when we use the word browse on the internet looking for things, you've got to be aware that you really have to ask the correct question and then demand the right answer from the answers that they throw at you, because browse is also commonly associated with Windows Explorer, Microsoft Edge, Firefox, what is another one, Safari or Google, Chrome, that type of thing. So we're not looking for browsing the internet. We're not looking for network connections out of the buildings. We're not looking for routes, any of that complicated stuff. We just want to know why can we not see our other computers that we put on a private network when they're both named with the same group name, whatever that may be. We'll go back to this. So let's look what answers we got. We went to Google, okay? Microsoft, because I want to use Microsoft down here. I want Microsoft to be in the solution. I want to get their answer before anybody else's. Microsoft can't browse network. Okay, so what are the answers? Restart your device. Well, who wouldn't have done that before they'd go to the internet? Restart your modem and router. Again, same basic thing. Select a trusted Wi-Fi network. Well, this is inside of my home. It's trusted. Disconnect and all this. And this doesn't really fit my situation, because I asked a question, maybe I wasn't specific enough. It says, if you're having trouble connecting to a network on Microsoft. I was, in a way, because I can't see my private network, but I still have no trouble connecting Wi-Fi to the router and outside world from either computer, that sort of thing. You can try these steps. That really isn't on point. Troubleshoot Wi-Fi connection. Well, it's not a Wi-Fi connection. Fix Wi-Fi connection. How to fix Wi-Fi, all this. So none of this stuff is relevant to what I'm looking for. I guess my question wasn't good enough. Now here is what we're looking for. And this one is purple because I went to look there. Unable to browse network computers. Now, let me just talk about that real quickly. The thing, once I got the file and network sharing set up, as I said, it was there and it would go away and it would come back and it would go away at random events. It's very, very aggravating. Now, I know for a fact that there's enough complaints on this. It's not someone, the net admin, turning off browsing so that you can't see the other computers. You can't see your workmate's computer or something like that. It's not deliberate, and all the settings seem to be correct. So am I breaking that network? Is there something happened to the network? Well, if my printers are staying there, I just can't see to connect them, but they're still there. I still print to them if I know the name. Then obviously even the private network is working. So it's not really a network issue, is it? It is a browsing the network or a computer visibility issue. But as I just showed you, boxes were ticked for the private network. So I should be able to see each other, the two computers. Now the old computer, what I use it's about 3 generations back. It goes back to 2013 and it's not good for anything. So I purposed that for running a roaster upstairs. It does my graphs and timing, and it's the print shares a server for 3 different label printers upstairs. So if that's the case, I did add a couple of little directories. Maybe in my case, because I used a faster, better computer than that old way generated out laptop, I use it to just print the labels that I draw up downstairs and send upstairs. At the same time, I don't want to put anything more on that little baby computer because it's so slow and so outdated and I can't really update it. that much, so I don't want to burden that down to make it any slower than what it is. So this is why I'm looking for a correct answer. How can I fix? I just want to be able to see the network. So I go to YouTube and I say, well, let's go to Google. YouTube can't browse network. And we get all kinds of solutions presented to us, but again, they're the answers to questions I didn't ask. Let's look at those a little closer. Here's one, 2024. It's always good to look at the posting date. Now, why does it say 2024 when they posted it in 2023? So pay attention to some of the stuff. The dates can be way old. All right, so quickly fix this site can't be reached problem. Well, that's not what I had. The computers are just not visible. I have internet but cannot browse. That sounds like a Safari or that type of thing. Google issue. Why is my network not working on YouTube? Well, it's not specifically YouTube. YouTube. All of this is working. I just can't see them. Can't access YouTube. So it's giving us bad solutions to problems we didn't have. Fix YouTube Connect right now, and as you go through there, every site says can't be reached except for YouTube, so that's probably a routing issue there somewhere. Now, that's a little bit helpful in the sense that now we know what we're not looking for. So I go to YouTube directly, and let me slide up to the top, and where we can see what I asked for. Cannot browse network on Win 10. Okay, so here I've got a little bit more specific, adding the Win 10. Cannot browse network. So we get internet connected, but browser not working on Windows 10. LAN showing internet access but not working. How to fix network computers not showing up on Windows 10. So we're getting right down to the question I want to know how to fix my actual symptoms. Fix Wi-Fi connected but no internet access. So it's not internet access, so that one's not it. And we'll come down to the one I actually use, this one. Fix Windows not sharing. Now, Windows not sharing could be because we didn't set up the file and printer sharing correctly, but knowing that it was there and going away and there and coming back, I think the Windows regular updates, these feature updates that they were forcing on me, I believe Windows was breaking this. It was stopping something. So I'm thinking that probably I might be a service-related problem, a Windows service-related problem. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to go into services, because I thought it would be services because, first of all, this problem of not being able to browse your network to see other computers on your network system through File Explorer. You know, the same thing when you go over to the left-hand side of the screen and scroll down and hit network when nothing shows up. That's an old problem dating back multiple years. Now, I had it set up and it was working, and then it quit working, and it would start mysteriously a few days later, and then I thought, well, what could be causing this from my standpoint? I live alone. There's no one putting software onto my computer, well, except for Microsoft. I'm not changing anything. The network hasn't changed. None of the situations, the firewall, none of that stuff has changed. Something is changing a setting, and it goes and it comes. So that makes me think that perhaps Microsoft updates are turning a service off. So let's go over to the main panel, and we'll show you how to pull up services. And you will need to be logged in as an administrator, or you'll have the chance to bring it in and run it as an administrator. So I like to go down to the bottom to this taskbar down here and just type in services.nmsc. I want to go to administrative tools. Now I have these things popped up, and I want to come down here to services and hit my services. Now, if you're not familiar with services, they're the various parts that the software used to connect other things and to let other things run. And a lot of times you can turn stuff off in here without knowing it, and it causes a problem. Well, if we see the service name on this column, we can see all these different things. And we can see some of them, if we look at status, some of them are running, or they're stopped, or they're not running. See, this one happens to be disabled by startup type. So whatever this is, automatic time zone updater. Well, that's disabled. Well, I can live with that, but if I wanted to change it, I could. Now look at one of these that is a manual or a trigger start. Something's going to trigger it. It's not going to run unless it's called for. Bluetooth audio gateway service. Well, this computer does not have any Bluetooth on it, so hopefully Bluetooth support services is turned off, or at least it could be, because I don't use it. Well, it's running automatic. I don't have any Bluetooth, so I could probably turn that off. Bluetooth user support services, I could turn that off. It's not running right now anyway. Now I have a couple of brother devices. I have a brother all-in-one in the system. It's not on this, the only one on my computer, so it may be the only one I need to run here unless the label printers up top need it, so I'm not going to mess with this. It's running and it's automatic. Well, one of the things I want to look for, let me go ahead and expand this out, get a little bit better view. We want to come down here. I want to look for discovery provider services. There it is. There they are. Functions discovery provider host. Okay. And in my case, I have my network now showing, and it's running, and it's set for an automatic type. Perhaps yours is not. What I did find in here is that function discovery resource publications was turned off. It was just turned off, and I couldn't see anything. So what we would do is we would go ahead and click on that services. Oh, let me give you, before I do, let me tell you about the descriptions. If you're not sure of what you're changing or what something does and you suspect something untoward, you can always pull the description out. Something that doesn't have a description, that's always a little suspect, because they're not telling you, they're not giving you, the user or the tech, information about what it's doing and why it's there. Roxio hard drive watcher. Well, I still have the program installed, but I could probably take that off. Now, let me go back up to my function. Here we are. We're still blue line. Function discovery resource publication. Well, we can, if this was stopped, we could turn this on. Now, something we see sometime in these things, if it'll slide, we see automatic triggered start, okay, or automatic delayed start. That means the automatic trigger start on a manual is gonna wait for another service to tell it to come on. So it's going to trigger on that. Manual means you can turn it off or on as the administrator. But what we see a lot of time with a delayed start is based upon a dependency. Let me find one that's got a dependency to it. All right, this one has no dependency. My function discovery resource publication. Let me find one that has a dependency like this one, function discovery provider host. Let's see if it has one. Yes, it does. Now see what it says right here? It says function discovery resource publication. That's the one right immediately below it. And it says that that is a dependency. The following system components depend on this service. So the host property requires on the resource publication being turned on. Now, if we didn't have it turned on, we could do so. So these two are linked together. It's going to need one of them. This one is a triggered start, and the other one is now automatic. I can make them both automatic, and they'd be okay. But now let's see if we could get to services some other way. Well, the preferred way I like to do it is, just because I'm old and I'm used to this, is type in services, CRV, I see it. See, and we can see that services up here. We can hit it there, or I can just finish typing in .msc and hit go. And it brings us to the exact same spot. So for me, it's just a little bit easier to hit services from the little white bar in the taskbar. If you like this content, please go to calldelltosell.com, find the tab that says on YouTube, click it, and it'll open up a page of QR codes. There you can use a smartphone to scan and get to the YouTube page, or you can just mouse over and click it on a PC. There you'll be able to subscribe to this little button over here and click the notification bell so that YouTube will notify you. Thank you. Again, I know it sounds like I'm talking to you like you're a child. I don't think that you are, but I think it's not a bad idea if you're having a problem to go to Windows, put Windows in your search so it gives you a Windows solution, see what the techno people at Windows think, and if they explain to you or give you an idea and it's on the right subject, you might be able to use some keywords to go into YouTube and find an actual presentation given to you on how to fix it. So from my standpoint, I'm just trying to help you be a little bit more efficient when chasing out problems such as this. And a lot of this I could get off track if I weren't paying attention to the actual symptoms. I didn't have any trouble with Wi-Fi. I didn't have any trouble with getting to a particular site. It's on my private network that was still there. It just didn't show up from time to time. So I hope this helps, and we'll see you next time.